And that's the thing that Dad had. This delight in the Word of God, this simple childlike trust in the Lord. And so the Lord was able to use him to produce fruit. I can almost hear somebody saying, or is it an echo within my own self, saying, yes, but Dad was so wonderful, so wise, so able, such a saint. Because the Lord could use him, doesn't it all mean that he can use somebody like myself? Not so. We're looking at Dad from some distance now. A touched-up portrait. And when you do this, you don't see the warts that you see when you look in your own bathroom mirror under the fluorescent lights. Let's spend a minute taking a look at Dad's warts, even though it might be a little unpleasant. Dad was the fifth child, the baby of the family. His father died when he was very young. His mother pampered and spoiled him, train up a child in the way he should go. Even though the spoiled child that remained within him was marvelously controlled by his faith, yet it stayed there and crept out every once in a while, making him super sensitive about some things, making him stubborn and closed-minded about other things. He was no whiz kid in school when it came to languages, grammar, and spelling. I can remember when I was a freshman at Concordia College, chapel service was mandatory, and so all of my newfound buddies were all around me. And over there was my English professor and my speech professor, and Dad had been invited to address us on that particular day. And there he was saying ain't instead of isn't, gist instead of just, architect. And there I was slumping further and further down into my seat. Why bother to remember somebody like that who's now dead and gone 100 years after his birth? Because he found the source. And he didn't use a sprinkling can. He used a 5-gallon bucket. That summer, after my first year at Concordia, I had all of these science classes and so on. And there were some questions and doubts in my mind, trying to put things together. And so as we were traveling, I asked Dad, have you ever been bothered with doubts about the existence of God, the reality of heaven, the love of Christ, the efficacy of the cross? And he said, no, I've never had time for that. He had always been so busy drinking in from the Word, the sacrament, the power of prayer, always been so busy growing and producing fruit that it was silly for him to wonder if this well springs of life, this water of life, were only a mirage in the desert.